I don't know why anyone would name their child a swear word. Clearly my parents were out of their mind when they chose it. And because of the stupid name they picked for me, I've had to get used to the smell of poo. And no, I'm not just talking about when I go to the toilet. It started when a French boy moved to our school. The teacher was doing the register, and when she got to my name, the French kid started laughing hysterically. I looked at him and asked him what was so funny, and then he told me. In French, my name literally means poo. As if that's not bad enough, it's also used as a swear word. We were only 10 at the time, but I'd heard my mom and dad shouting at each other using the English version of the word. It was a bad word. I was so angry. Why did my mom and dad choose such a horrible name for me? Did they think I was just a piece of poo? For the rest of the day, my classmates called me Poo Girl, and no one would sit next to me. It was the worst day of my life. As soon as my mom picked me up, I started shouting at her, and then I did something crazy. I swore at her. I didn't even care how she'd react. You piece of You piece of shit. And then I spat at her. That car ride home, I just went insane. My mom always told me my name was so cute, but she was wrong. It wasn't cute. It was disgusting. When Dad got home from work, I was still shouting at Mom. Well, Dad went berserk. He sent me to my room and said if I didn't sort my behavior out and treat my mom better, he'd send me away to stay with the orphans. Send me there then, I shouted. Then I can change my name and live a normal life. Things just got worse from there. I hated my parents for this. Now everyone in school knew what my name meant, and kids can be cruel. Every morning when I left for school, there would be a fresh dog poo waiting on our porch. There was only one kid on our street with a dog, and it was that nasty French kid. For weeks, he'd leave the poo there, but we never caught him. He must have come before we woke up. So one day, me and my dad woke up extra early and waited. We saw him coming up the path, and Dad grabbed the garden hose, and just as his dog started doing its business, Dad threw the door open and aimed the hose right at him. The water came out so fast, he actually fell onto the ground and started crying. I filmed him and couldn't stop laughing. He deserved this. I then grabbed his dog and said, if you ever let your dog poo here again, I'll show this video to everyone. After that, he always walked his dog on the other side of the street. But then one time, we were playing hide and seek at school. I'd been hiding for ages, and no one came to find me. Then I heard a girl in my class saying, "Oh, hey, Maird, that's not a very good hiding place, is it?" I was so confused. And then I saw what she was doing. She was talking to a piece of dog poo by the school gate. When would this end? It didn't end. It continued. And the jokes were the same every time. So on Halloween last year, I decided to join in on the jokes. I dressed up as the poo emoji and went along with my friend Sarah to the party. It was at the French boy's house. We knocked on the door and his mom answered. Sarah was dressed as a cute pumpkin and his mom let her in. And then she looked at me and shook her head and said I wasn't welcome in their house because my name offended her and her entire country. Then she slammed the door in my face. I didn't get it. I thought if I made fun of myself, people would laugh with me instead of at me. But that's not how it worked, apparently. And then the universe decided to play with me even more. Our art teacher announced a trip to Paris. So now I'd be going to the land where my name was a swear word. Great! I'd need to change my name. What if they wouldn't even let me enter the country? As I was thinking that, I went to my locker to get my art supplies. I could smell it before I even saw it. A huge steaming turd lying on my books. It looked like a human one this time. I heard a bunch of guys laughing behind me. I gave them a death stare and tried to use a tissue to scoop up the poo. I wanted to throw it at them, but they ran off. The poo left a big smear across the front of my book. Gross! I chucked all of my stuff in the bin and was about to try sneak out and go home so I could take a hot shower when the teacher caught me heading for the door. Maird, where do you think you're going? Too late. I had no choice now. I followed her to class and sat down. Suddenly, the girl next to me started sniffing the air. Ew, what's that smell? She said. I could smell it too, and then I realized what it was. There was poo on my face and in my hair. When I'd scooped the poo off my book, I must have touched my face. Miss, Maird smells like a real Maird. Can you open a window, please? Another girl said. I couldn't take it. I ran out of the class and I slammed the door behind me. I could hear everyone laughing. I went home and ran to the bathroom and scrubbed my hands until they were red raw. Then I took the longest shower and decided it was time to change my name. I looked up how to do it online and realized I'd only be able to do it after the trip. I couldn't miss the trip or I'd risk failing art. I'd just have to grin and bear it. The trip arrived. I was pretty nervous as I stood in the line at immigration. When the officer took my passport to stamp it, he stared at my name for a while. I lowered my head, waiting for the insult, but none came. Instead, he started laughing, like really loudly. And then he called his colleagues over. I felt like a freak show. And that was just the beginning. Welcome to France, I thought. When we got to our hotel, I went to the bathroom. Suddenly, I heard my name being called, and then everyone in the hotel lobby started tutting and shaking their heads in disgust at my teacher. I even saw a mom covering her kid's ears. Clearly, these people were shocked to hear an American lady shouting, "Merde!" If only they knew it was my name. Anyway, I was used to this, right? The next day, we went to see all the sights. It was amazing. After going up the Eiffel Tower, our teacher gave us a free hour to do what we wanted. Me and my best friend Sarah decided to go to an art museum. But something horrible happened. We got lost. Like, legit lost in Paris. We couldn't find our teacher anywhere. Neither of us spoke good enough French to ask for help, and we had no Wi-Fi. So basically, it was a recipe for disaster. There was a man nearby, and he was saying my name. I ran over to him thinking maybe he was a security guard looking for me, but then I realized he was stinking drunk, and maybe even crazy. Okay, yeah, he was definitely crazy. After waiting on the steps for like an hour, we decided to head back towards the Eiffel Tower. Luckily, it's easy to find that at least, but by this point it was getting dark, and yep, you've guessed it, this crazy drunk man was stumbling along behind us. Picture two American girls running around a French street screaming. We must have looked ridiculous. I had all these visions of us getting kidnapped. I knew I shouldn't have gone to France, and not just because my name is like the main swear word over there. Anyway, he wouldn't stop following us. He just kept chanting my name. Merde, merde, merde. If we weren't so scared, it would have been funny. But then things took an unexpected turn. He caught up with us and grabbed Sarah's backpack. He was trying to mug us. I'd heard about pickpocketers, but I wasn't prepared for this. I panicked, picked something up off the ground, and threw it at him. I didn't want to hurt him, I just wanted him to go away. Only after I threw it did I realize what it was. Dried up poo. That distracted him enough so that me and Sarah could get away from him. We eventually made it back to the Eiffel Tower and ran into the crowd and lost him. It was seriously impossible to find anyone amongst all those people. Our teacher was tall with red hair, but still I couldn't spot her. Instead, I noticed that everyone around us was giggling and filming something. I stopped for a second and looked around. I couldn't see anything interesting, but then I heard it. Our names, well, my name, on a loudspeaker, being broadcast all around the Eiffel Tower. I wanted the ground to swallow me up. I couldn't understand anything else the announcer was saying. But I figured if I went to the front of the ticket booth area and said, "Bonjour, I'm Merde," they'd be able to help us. A policeman appeared and started escorting us towards his van. Suddenly people started clapping and laughing, and they were all pointing at me and flashing their cameras. I had no idea what was going on. Were we in trouble? But then the roads became familiar, and I realized he was taking us back to the hotel. Our teacher was standing in the entrance waiting for us, looking so worried. She kept apologizing for taking so long to find us, explaining that no one would take her seriously when she'd reported us missing, all because of my name. She had even needed to come back to the hotel to get a photocopy of my passport to prove that she really was looking for a girl named Merde. How would I live this down? We still had a week to go in France, and I'd already been publicly humiliated. The following day, we went on a cycling tour along the river, and we stopped to buy some water. Well, you won't believe what was on the front of the newspaper. My eyeballs almost bulged out of my head when I saw it. It was me, on the front page. I couldn't read it, but I knew exactly what it was about. Was my name that much of a shock? Clearly it was. All my classmates saw and started howling with laughter, and the man selling the newspapers started telling a random passerby that I was the Merde girl. Great. And then it got worse. My cousin sent me a message telling me to check Twitter. I was trending on Twitter. Someone had actually created a hashtag for me. I couldn't believe it. Was this what it was like to be a celeb, I wondered? And you'll never guess what. At the airport on the way home, the exact same immigration man gave me my exit stamp. He couldn't stop grinning at me, and in broken English he said, "You are so big celeb in France now, Merde girl." Well, he wasn't wrong there. It was crazy. How had this happened? I'd gone from being someone who found dog poo on her doorstep to someone who people actually tweeted about. I mean, okay, they were mainly making fun of me, but still, I was pretty famous now. When my parents picked me up, the first thing my mom said was, "Still want to change your name?" And then she laughed. "Bet you're thanking us now. If anything, at least we've made your life more interesting." Eventually, the hype around my name died down, and I went back to just being Merd. There would be many more embarrassing moments to come where I'd need to explain my name, going to college, getting my first job, but for now, I've decided to embrace it. I did a Google search, and there are people out there with way worse names than me. I mean, imagine if my name was Tess Tickle. And I guess that dried up old poo saved mine and Sarah's life. Who knows what that crazy man would have done to us? What do you think of my story? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories.